All right. Hello and welcome. Good evening. It is Thursday, December 16th. Logan and Lou from Lucky Trader here to chat about a lot of big news, but particularly, Lou, we're going to be chatting about big brands: Nike, Artifact, Adidas, Pixel Vault, big brands both respectively in Web 2 and Web 3, and kind of the collaborations of such, and really just, going over the details, hopefully getting some commentary and questions from the chat, and talking about maybe the success or expected success or lack thereof for these particular engagements, and maybe guessing at what brands come next. I don't know. How
Yeah,
are you doing tonight, Lou?
good. Yeah, it's been kind of an exciting week with that. A lot of brands coming out now, and it seems like the mainstream adoption is starting to come into fruition a little bit. So, excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even mention in that terrible intro I just gave, didn't even mention Pepsi, which was earlier this week.
Yep.
Another massive brand. We saw Mattel. I don't know if you call Mattel massive, but probably, right? Um, Mattel, L'Oreal,
Yeah.
both in the last 2 days. There was a Coach announcement today. I mean, this is what? That's 6, 7 super notable, like very, very notable, recognizable brands from like our traditional in real lives, that we just kind of come across as consumers and as, human participants, every single day, that
hmm
now are joining our world. So it's a little crazy, isn't it? That for the last, what, I don't know, 6 to 8 months, or a little bit beyond that. I guess it's December now, maybe almost a full year, right? We have been tucked away in what's felt like an echo chamber of weird, squirrely folks who are doing like kind of odd things on the internet with random JPEGs. And now we have this huge selection of very worthwhile, very notable entities and organizations that are joining us in those endeavors.
Yeah, then it's definitely pretty cool because I mean, like you said, this has only been about a year worth of time, and it seems like these bigger brands are starting to accept the fact that this is a thing and something they should be putting money towards. Obviously, like the Nike one was big, and I think pushed a lot of other companies to think like, oh, should we be buying out some of these projects? Should we be putting more money towards it? And the Pixel Vault thing has kind of been in the works for a little bit with
Right.
Adidas. And people keep saying, "Oh, well, if you didn't think Nike was going to make a play after all this Adidas talk." But I mean, it's hard to say that you were expecting it with Artifact specifically,
Yeah.
but I think one thing we'll see, like with Budweiser, right? Or like Pepsi, like they're direct competitors. Like, isn't Coca-Cola gonna want to do something now that Pepsi is part of it, and things like that. So I'm excited to see like what this next sort of round of companies that are looking into the space are going to be like.
Yeah. That's a really great point you bring up about the competitive angle. I think, Nike, I'm not sure Nike really feels like it has competitors at all. You know what I mean? Perhaps, like, right? But I think Nike itself, and I don't have any like super strong brand alliances or allegiances, although I'm wearing a Nike sweatshirt right now, because I'm freezing in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's so freaking cold here. But anyway, I don't feel like Nike necessarily maybe thinks that they have competitors, but it is interesting to see some of the other brands that perhaps would look to Nike as their competitors, and see how they may push the needle. And actually, as you mentioned, right, like we sort of knew, or at least some people sort of knew, Adidas was going to be making a play with Pixel Vault, right?
Mhm.
And again, I don't think Nike is necessarily making moves as a result of something Adidas does, perhaps, but the other smaller participants may look to Web3, may look to NFTs as a way to gain steam and community and be innovative and kind of be more flexible and nimble than some of those other massive corporations can be. It's actually kind of timely with the announcement earlier today. We weren't anticipating talking too much about this, but we can bring it up anyway. The announcement earlier today about WAGMI United, WAGMI, we are all, is it we are all, or we are gonna
We
make
are
it?
gonna
We
make
are,
it.
yeah, right. We are gonna make it United, right? Lucky Trader NFT show host Preston Johnson co-founded with oh boy, I'm gonna butcher the name here. Eben Smith, Eben
T-Fun.
Smith, Eben, I'm not exactly sure how to
Oh,
pronounce that, unfortunately.
Eben, I think.
Yeah. But anyway, earlier today announced, right, that they are looking to, in the final, like leg of discussion, to acquire an English league football team, which actually would potentially
English Football League. Let me make sure that's clear. This is like a secondary level team. This isn't the Premier League. It's like the step down.
right, but they can get promoted to the Premier League.
Yeah,
Promotion from this is Premier League. So
it's the one directly under.
I'm not
that-
exactly sure how. Is there like multiple leagues that can go up?
There's like I'm not. It depends on which team they have as to how far away they are. Is how I
Right.
would say it. Because in there's a League One and a League Two.
Right.
If they're in two, they have to get to one and then up. So I'm expecting it to be like, I don't know if it's going to be a team that you've like heard of before, but I'm hoping they have a team that's kind of mid-range in there. Yeah, see, Gallon saying in there that the championship is the level above this.
Right,
So I think
right,
this is
right.
the third layer.
Yeah, we don't
But
have.
still
Sorry,
pretty cool.
we don't have confirmation. So Preston Johnson had confirmed that this is either League One or Two. It is lower level English football league. So it could be League One, it could be League Two. We don't know. The formal details are supposed to come out in the next 3 to 4 weeks if they're able to finalize the deal. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is that we were talking about smaller organizations potentially pushing these bigger organizations by being more innovative, by taking more risk on Web3 initiatives. This is one of those examples where, quite specifically in the official press release, Preston and WAGMI, or whatever they're going to call that, noted that they want to and believe they can execute more effectively than kind of the traditional commercial sports ownership and team management model that has been built to date. So this is one of those very clear examples of exactly what you were just describing. But let's go back actually to chat a little bit about the Nike thing, because this is massive news that broke earlier this week, December 13th. Boy, was that Monday or Tuesday at this point? Nike officially acquiring Artifact. I'm guessing at this point in time, everybody has heard this. It was the talk of the ecosystem for, I don't know. I mean, in the better part of this entire week, but early this week. Yeah, definitely all of the talk. I think the GIF here that Nike uses, that they tweeted and used to represent this press release, is really, really fitting and actually speaks to the magnitude of what this acquisition is. Those brands there that Nike has associated themselves with or has acquired previously, right, or kind of spun out on their own: Air Jordan, Converse, and now Artifact alongside the swoosh. Like that is very high praise to be included alongside. And as I mentioned, I just believe, I think, speaks orders of magnitude about, one, maybe the conviction that Nike has in this, endeavor and in this acquisition, which is like speaking super highly of Artifact and the team. But then two, just the overall level of conviction on the theme and the macro theme of like Web3, metaverse wearables, digital wearables, NFT wearables, collectibles, fashion, whatever you want to call that. There's been, I think, an equal weighting of excitement and FUD about this announcement over the course of the week. Some like sellout stuff regarding, hey, you just sold a Web3 based company straight into your prototypical, I don't know, you want to call Nike Web 2, right? But at least traditional business. Lou, what's your like overall feeling about this entire Nike Artifact endeavor?
Yeah, I think it's very big. I mean, we haven't really seen it in this way before, where it's actually buying into the brand. And this is a multi-billion-dollar company. It's worldwide, and Artifact, I believe they're out of France. And I think the global reach that Nike has is one of the bigger ones for brands across the world. So I think it's a massive brand, and they're making a statement of not just partnering for like one thing. They're actually acquiring this company, which means they plan on being apart for a long time. Not saying anything against like what Adidas is doing, because I think they're doing a lot of work in this partnership. But the idea of a brand that's absorbing the sort of risk of this new like NFT project, like Artifact just got released a week ago. The project itself, which a lot of people are going back and now sort of
Well, CloneX got released a week ago.
yeah. Oh
Like
yeah, right.
Artifact has been around and actually executing for quite some time. At this,
Yeah.
well, what it's a year, right? But what feels
Yeah.
like forever.
So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is when people look back at the issues with the drop and why it got pushed back, and it seems like people are accepting a lot more things that they were originally fudding with the project.
Yeah.
So I mean, this just creates the floor of CloneX. It's hard for it to just completely disappear like a mechaverse, in my opinion, because now Nike has however many millions or $1 billion investment in this, that they're not going to just let it completely fail and go to waste. So they're putting money towards the things that CloneX was, promising to people. And I think that just makes me bullish on the project in general. The floor now is well over 4, and I think
4.82.
it's going to be hard for it to come. It originally dropped under 2, like right after when the reveal started. It fell under 2 at one point, and to me, I think it's going to take a lot for it to fall even further down.
Yeah.
Than like a 3, than under 3 again, in at least in the short term, while this Nike thing is still backing them.
Yeah, I think you're right. So like this project itself was, at least to the best of our knowledge, an Artifact, I don't believe, has said anything about this, but like to the best of our knowledge, this project itself was conceived, probably pre any Nike talk. That would be my guess anyway. But you're exactly right. At this point in time, Artifact is Nike, right? So even though CloneX may have been conceived of prior to Nike's acquisition, even then, though CloneX as of right now has no official stamp from Nike, right? There's no swoosh on any of the CloneX avatars. It would be ill-conceived for them to, in some way allow this, not that they can control entirely, market dynamics here, but it would be ill-conceived for them not to support and promote this project and the success thereof of that project. So I think you're right. I think it's going to be difficult to see this floor really get, unless of course the price of Ethereum does wacky things, right? It's going to be difficult to probably see this floor, dip precipitously. Of course, like your traditional fluctuations are to be expected, with all this stuff. But I think you're exactly right. Like I think, Nike brings some level of stability here, despite this being like their first foray into Web3. I think they bring some level of stability that not even, Artifact on their own, despite being a massive brand before Nike, would have been able, to probably hold. So I think it's really interesting. The other thing that we haven't really speculated, or at least I haven't seen speculated on too much, is where do these companies play best? Like we don't know, right? So CloneX was pre-Nike. We don't know what the first Artifact Nike thing is going to be. Is it going to be the CloneX forging events for physicals? Is it going to be more traditional, just like, because CloneX, or shit, man, I'm gonna mess it up all night. But anyway, Artifact, right? has been dropping sneakers all year. Like I have my FUO Artifact sneakers. Is that what it's going to be? You know, you're going to see like these limited edition NFT / sneaker forging drops via Nike and Artifact. Like what's your take on how they play together?
Yeah, that seems like logical, at least to start. You know, they showed in that little teaser announcement video. It's the guy's face keeps changing to different Clonex faces, and in his hand is a shoe that keeps changing to different Nike shoes. So I'd assume that that's going to be the first big push, is like a merch, Nike branded merch, where you can have like your own NFT on it, or something along those lines, which is similar
Yeah.
to what the Adidas is doing. But I would guess that's the initial. But they're also, I mean, investing a lot of money to help with the metaverse side of it as well.
Yeah. Let's segue, if you're okay, let's segue into that Adidas stuff, because not only was this pre-Nike news, so Nike kind of coattailing a little bit here, but we got news today from Adidas and the collaboration with G Money, Punk's Comics / Pixel Vault, and Bored Ape Yacht Club launching tomorrow, December 17th, of a massive collection, 30,000 piece collection, 30,000 NFTs. Which I believe outside of the Matrix one is the largest NFT collection we've seen, at least largest.
Well, outside of their planets.
Oh, true.
They had over 30,000 planets.
Outside of Pixel Vault planet. So Pixel Vault and Punk's Comic this is nothing, right? This is all but native to them. Regardless of 30,000 pieces expected, 20,000 for pre-sale access. You know, that's going to pre-sale in this instance, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure if pre-sale is the right word, but kind of like whitelisted are Bored Ape holders, Mutant Ape holders, G Money POAP, Adidas POAP, Pixel Vault / Punk Comics holders. All of them are granted sort of this special accommodation to be able to mint, without fear of being excluded if supply should diminish or sell out. 0.2 Ethereum. It lines you up for 4 exclusive merchandise drops at no additional cost in the year of 2022. So I'll try to summarize that, and then I'll let you spit your thoughts out, Lou. 0.2 Ethereum, 30,000 pieces, 20,000 to existing holders from those, collaborative entities, 10,000 potentially for public, 0.2 Ethereum, which at this point in time is
around
like $800.
So, yeah.
And it grants you the holders access to at least 4, or they said 4, no additional fee, merchandise drops. Could be NFT. They said physical, I believe, right? Drops throughout the course of 2022. Your take here? Are you going to be participating?
Yeah, so I think I saw a stat that the pre-sale access is 20,000 of them, and there should be at least 30,000 eligible for that. So,
we might not get to public.
Yeah, it's about like, it's going to be around like 60-70% chance of getting it if you own one of those items. The part that I do like about it is it's sort of a collaboration of different projects at the same time, like Punks and Bored Apes coming together, which I think is cool. The fact that they're adding mutants, that's 10,000 holders right there. But some people were complaining about, the idea of like rich get richer, but I don't think this is as much of a like flip opportunity. There's 30,000 of them. They're allowing 10,000 to other people that don't own these items. It's just some added utility for holding these items, as long as you have, like, if you've been a Pixel holder, you've gone through a couple different ups and downs with them. So I don't really mind that, but I do think this is kind of, it's different and it's kind of cool. I don't know. What's your take on that sweatshirt with your whole Ethereum address? I feel like it's kind of a lot.
I think it's obnoxious. Yeah, I think that's completely obnoxious. I don't think I would wear that personally. I'll say this though.
What if it was on like the back, like a jersey, I think
Maybe.
that would be kind of
I don't
okay.
know. I should say this though, any fashion takes I'm like very plain, if you couldn't already tell. So like very plain, no flair at all. I can't afford to wear it, not financially, but just look at me, right? So I think the curious thing here too, Lou, that I didn't note earlier was that the snapshots actually for this were already taken on December
Yep.
14th. So
So
on
they're taking
Tuesday.
Tuesday night.
So you rushing out to buy, a Bored Ape Yacht Club or Mutant or Pixel Vault NFTs, like you get those NFTs, of course, but moot for the snapshot for pre-sale or early access to this drop. So you can head to adidas.com/into_the_metaverse. That's the site I'm on right now and sharing. It also indicates here in this middle column a little bit more of what we touched on in the beginning: physical exclusive Adidas Originals, G Money, Bored Ape Yacht Club, Punks Comic physical merchandise available to claim in 2022 at no additional cost. Gear up for the iconic Addy-color Firebird tracksuit as seen on Indigo, Hertz, and Courtney, a graphic hoodie as featured on Punks Comic #2, and G Money's classic orange beanie.
Yeah, so I am someone who I keep saying I'm gonna get an Adidas tracksuit, and if this is the way that I do it, like I think it's really cool. And in general, I'd like to see obviously like what it looks like and things like that. I don't know if I would if the only option is with your Ethereum address on there. I don't know if I would do it exactly, but um I think it would be kind of cool to have. It's weird, like we've talked about this before, where
Firebird
even though we're
tracksuit.
getting all of these like digital collectibles now, I kind of like the idea of getting physical ones on top
Yeah.
of it. So I don't know. I think this would be kind of cool, and it's a little more expensive.
Yeah.
What's your take on it being 0.2 Ethereum versus like even the Punks comic #2 that came out last week was just 0.1?
You know what? I think, unfortunately, this is something that people should start to prepare for a little bit. And the reason I say that is, you have a collaboration of like 4 or 5 different entities here, and everybody's got to get paid, right? So, you can set aside all the this is for the people type stuff. Ultimately, the teams still want to and will get paid. That's how it works. So when you have this many mouths to feed, you have to up the prices or up the quantities. In this instance, they did both to be able to feed all parties and make it worth the time and effort that goes into it. So I expect that as we see a little bit more of this brand activity, this will not be, this will be kind of par for the course. Although it was like really great. I don't know how much time we'll spend on Pepsi tonight, but it was great that like Pepsi made those NFTs free. The NFTs suck. They're terrible. We'll share them on
People
screen,
like
but
them.
no, they're so shitty. But anyway, I want to go back real quick to a point on the Adidas thing that I actually missed when we were initially talking about it, which was, from that site. Oh boy, did I X out of that site? No, here we go. From that site, there are some that are reserved like for the public here. So 9,620 are reserved for general sale. So that means about 2/3 are definitely going to go in pre-sale, right? You said what, about 30,000 eligible holders? Those 2/3 will go. But you're not like, you can't get completely left out if you don't hold one of those NFTs. If you weren't part of the
And
snapshot,
I
you're
think
not.
it'll be interesting to see if out of that 20,000, if everyone wants it or not.
Yeah.
With it being 0.2, like there could definitely be people that pass on it. Well, the other point is the other thing with this item is it costs money to make those 4 physical items. And they probably are paying the shipping costs, and it's going to
Yeah.
be global and like distribution. So that's where I think the 0.2 number makes sense, where they might not be taking that much profit off of this, because I don't know. What would you think those 4 items retail would maybe go like $500 or something? Like I don't think it's that big of like cash grab that we see some others like are clear cash grabs when they're over a 0.1 for a minting.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, I think that's probably right. The other thing that we should also consider that maybe I wasn't when I made that comment was that the other really important part here is that the smart contracts bake in the royalties over time. So, they're gonna get their money one way or another. But yeah, they're try to recoup as much of those costs up front as they possibly can. So I think the point two still makes sense. It's probably, as you just mentioned, it's probably a bit more beneficial to the consumer than maybe I had suggested. But just something just to be aware of. I think that's a really interesting point that you brought up though about kind of longing for some of the physical stuff. I think of course, I know I no longer hold my Artifact Ferocious shoes. Drastic mistake. I sold when I heard about Clonex earlier this year and things started to run up. I sold having just like no clue that the Clonex amp, like all that, so I missed out on probably 100 Ethereum maybe by selling shit way too early, missing out on 10 plus Clonex mints and, so lots of money that it cost me. But anyway, that I have these shoes and I adore them. These are the Ferocious Artifact shoes. I believe the Artifact rookie shoe in terms of NFT stuff. They sit in this case in my house. Who knows how much they'll be worth someday? Maybe millions. Probably not. But somebody can buy it off me for $1 billion, I think I said. Nevertheless, I think it's an interesting point that you brought up about longing for physicals and the companionship between the physical and the digital NFT. I do expect that people are going to want to find a way to share and showcase the stuff they're doing online in real life as well, right? And support those brands or creators, where it makes sense. And so I just totally think that a lot of people probably feel that same way. Like I felt that way. I love those physical sneakers. I'll never wear them. I'm not even a sneaker collector. I don't own any shoes. The shoes I wear are from I stole them from my little brother and they're terrible, but I really adore those physical shoes because of the connection that I've created like myself with Ferocious. And now I want to have that both digital and physical reminder where possible.
Yeah, and I think merch is a little different. Like I obviously have like this painting right up here that's from an NFT, but I think with merch, and this goes back to something they always say in marketing, where someone is more likely to wear a shirt that they paid $20 for than a shirt they got for free. And I think the fact that like people are paying for this item and they're holding it to the claim process is they're going to actually wear it. Like one thing that I've seen way more on Twitter, especially since the NFT NYC, is people wearing Ape merch in public and they're showing, oh, someone recognized me at the airport and like things like that. And I just think merch is the easiest way to do that. And it's a way of showing off your brand. Like people always compare it to like Supreme, where if you wear Supreme, then people know.
Yep. Social status,
So,
right? Yeah.
So that's where like merch is the easiest way to do it. Obviously, at some point in time, there'll be some sort of lucky trader merch that I would wear and be in public, and you show it off. So it's similar in that way where you're proud of being part of that Bored Ape or Pixel Vault community, and you're giving back by paying them to do the merch. And did Subducks do merch?
Dude,
Like they
Subduck,
did, right?
yeah, Subducks did merch. I actually own no Subducks merch. I hate saying this
You
out
should.
loud. I hate saying this out loud because I feel I should not in any way. I don't condone FUD of Subducks in any way. But I was not a massive fan of the merch options.
Of how they looked. Yeah.
And so I did not go through with making a Subducks merch purchase. They have, like the thing is Sup, right? I think there's a Sup hat that is really cool that I just didn't purchase. I don't actually know why. Maybe because I had forgotten about it until this very moment. But no, I'm not a real big merch guy, to be quite honest. I've participated. I bought some Killer Acid shirts that are like really nice. Rep my Know Your Horses shirt. I wore that yesterday.
Do you have you have NFTs from Trap Acid?
From Killer Acid? I had one Killer Acid NFT. that I bought on Tezos actually, that I flipped for like a 4x almost instantly. It's probably higher now. I don't want to think about it, but long ago. We should continue the brand conversation. And I'm curious for any of those that are in the audience that would like to bring up or propose topic related to a particular brand, whether that be Web3 or Web2, and they're kind of bridging and conversions of the two. We should head into the Pepsi talk, which happened earlier this week as well. So Pepsi whitelisted folks last week, and then the actual drop, the mic drop NFT, Genesis NFT collection, took place this week. You can actually take a look at luckytrader.com. Search for Pepsi mic drop and the NFT drop down. You can take a look if you want to get through the asset explorer at Lucky Trader. Man, I think they are very horrible. Very, very horrible.
Great art.
I think they're just so bad. I've said before, I'm encouraged about certain things that they have pulled from the community, that our community or NFT Twitter, whatever, Web3 community things, 3D glasses, right? Like things like that. That is encouraging to me. Brands that are kind of, I don't want to say they're listening per se, but right, they're at least
Paying
acknowledging, right? Acknowledging some of the existing mimetic value within this atmosphere and the community right now. But these are just terrible.
But like, there's thought to it. Puck is saying better, it's higher than Bud. Like Bud Light is just can.
Oh, he said floor is still higher than Bud.
Right. I'm saying the Budweiser ones they were just the can, and they had a koozie that, based on Zoom tests, like the koozies didn't even look like they fit the can, if that makes sense.
Dude, I actually, hot take maybe, but they don't really look like
if you
fit.
zoom into them. Yeah. So
hot take though, I like these. I like this more.
But that's just, you like the artwork of a regular Budweiser can that you would drink?
Maybe, but probably. But I don't drink Budweiser, by the way. That seems weird. Does anybody drink just normal Budweiser? I don't even like Bud Light.
That was a discussion we had in the Discord, was, like, maybe that's the issue, is people, not that many people are drinking Budweiser. But I mean, if people drink Bud Light, it's similar, right? Is that going to be the companion drop to this? Is Bud Light cans?
Yeah, they have to do it for every line that they have. Here, I think the reason I like the Budweiser stuff more is that it seems like more natural and not as just like completely bonkers weird. Like why mic drop NFT? This must be some play on like Pepsi halftime show, Super Bowl type thing.
Yeah,
right?
That's probably it.
Like why else do you pick random ass generative mics? Like what?
Yeah, the other thing with Budweiser, kind of like what you're saying.
Timothy loves Budweiser.
It looks more like that's what a Budweiser NFT should be. It's a picture of the Bud. Yeah. It's one of their backgrounds. It's one of their actual logos they've had. Versus the Pepsi one is more like, we're fitting in. There's different hair traits. There's different glasses traits, and it's not an animal and things like that.
Do you think, I have a question for you, Lou. So I think I'm not certain this provides financial value to projects or collections, but the clear traits or like defining traits of collections that like you see that trait and you immediately know that collection, that to me is valuable. So Doodles, for example, Rainbow Puke, you see that trait and you're like, oh, Doodles, right? With Budweiser and this collection, like, it's Budweiser, right? I mean, even if you remove the backgrounds that say Budweiser, even if you remove the text on the cans, right? Maybe that would make it a little harder. But like, even if you remove most of the attributes associated or the traits associated with these NFTs, you would still know that it's Budweiser. If you remove the Pepsi logo from the mics, you would have no clue what collection that would be. And I think that, at least to me, like there's something about that that's maybe a little concerning, that like this is not memorable in any way. Like it's not, You know, I don't know. Does that make sense? Do you feel that way, sort of?
I don't know. Does it have to be memorable though? Like with the Budweiser, like
I would think you would want them to be memorable, right? If they're memorable, if they're like people recognize them, and that would certainly help. I would imagine, right? If not, isn't that, if people don't remember the NFT, if people aren't certain that when they see that NFT, it is your brand, then isn't that like
yeah. But I think of it like this, like Puck's saying, I'd like a free beer at an event rather than a Pepsi. I think the idea of like why you're holding the NFT on some of these brands is you think you're going to get something out of it from the
yeah,
brand. So
yeah.
it's more likely that if you drink beer, you want a Budweiser. Like people aren't
They don't
people
give
would
a
rather
shit
have a
about the
six
art.
pack at like like people aren't trying to get a six pack of Pepsi at like some discount at the grocery store. They're trying to get a six pack of beer and pay less for the beer. That's how I see it, and that's where I think I would lean the Budweiser side. Kind of like what you're saying. Like neither one for me is about the art. When going to these big brands, but it seems like people really like the Pepsi one. Pepsi's a lower supply count, though, right?
Barely, I believe. Budweiser 1923, I believe it was founded. They both did the commemorating the year of not year of founding for Budweiser, but the year that cans were introduced, 1923. That's why. Pepsi 1893, year of founding. Funny tweet that I remember the other day from Dee's regarding the in it for the art thing. Upon further inspection, a lot of people here for the art were actually here for the money. I mean, truer words have not been spoken, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a joke. A lot of people have said like I'm not in it for the art for a while now, and I think the parts that it hurts the most are things like art blocks that are mostly for the art. But people were fudding like the Clonex art, and the way
Dude,
I was arguing,
I'm gonna kind of flood the Clonex art, by the way. But
well,
go
the
ahead.
the way that I argued is like you're not spending 3 ETH on a piece of art
Yeah,
that's out of 20,000. Like
yeah,
the thesis behind the play is because they have connections. Like they've already got the Nike one. That was way faster than I expected it to be. But I mean, that just goes to show like the reasoning behind that people were backing them was they were more likely than just some random like just looking at the pictures we have up here, like the groupies are going to be less likely to have a connection to Nike than someone like Artifact. So
yeah,
I just think a brand that just pulled in over $100 million in a drop is going to have a lot more pull with these bigger connections and way to long term make the project good. I
right.
think that's like the big thing for me is connecting to these big brands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
So
think let's bring in this other quote from Puck Drop as well as to some speculation about potential utility, right? We were just talking about people aren't buying the Pepsi NFT. Well, they're buying the Pepsi NFT for a whole bunch of reasons, but like secondary buyers, the second guy, as you guys call it, down the road, they're not buying it because of the art, right? They're buying it because of expected or potential utility. As Puck Drop mentions here, a lot of sports facilities have special sections like Bud Light Porch, right? Same thing in arenas, like, whatever. There's 100 million examples you can provide of this. Totally awesome, valuable, innovative potential connection and bridging of digital and physical that I think everyone is sort of expecting. And we've talked about this before, Lou. I think this is the low hanging fruit. Like, I think this is the stuff that the brands just like need to do almost. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be a
yep.
part of it. Like, this is what people want, right? Like, people want to get a special seat somewhere or
It's
get a
what everyone
backstage.
wanted with Top Shot.
Yeah.
So, but that's going to be a big story too. That's going to pump some market. Like, let's say, Bored Ape is the easy one. But let's say Supducks they decided to
Let's say it.
do something like that at like, I don't know, the Seattle Seahawks. They have a section, the Subduck, whatever sponsors a section of the stadium. And I think we're going to start seeing things like that eventually, like maybe not until
Yeah,
late next year, but I think
Ducks
that'll
are
be something.
probably more naturally to do something with the Anaheim Ducks, given the proximity of location and
That
the
too,
mascot. Yeah, quack quack. I mean, all this stuff makes a whole lot of sense. One of the ways that I'm like those collaborations and the sports utility and that tie makes a ton of sense to me because that's like my background and what I would be interested in as well. Something I'm a little less in tune to and actually know like or have a less feeling of what people would want would be on like the pure consumer side, like apparel. And let me bring in the next brand on the list right now. Coach announced today NFT drops for the course of the next week. They're giving away giving away NFTs, 80 of them, as a part of their first kind of foray here, first Coach NFT drop into Web3 and NFTs. Now, I don't necessarily understand the significance of these are like Christmassy, snowy, holiday themed things. I don't know why they're necessarily doing that or if the brand Coach has any connection to them. But nevertheless, doing it, another massive brand. Like, what type of utility are you expecting? Like, discount utility? Are you expecting like access to free things? Like, Coach is like purses and oh man, like there's got to be a whole lot more that I'm just completely botching. But at minimum,
They say
purchase,
that
right?
that there's a game involved, Snow City there. I'm
Did I say
wondering if
game?
that's an app.
It said game. Stay tuned to learn. Collection features from
Our
our
holiday
holiday
game.
game. Wow.
So I believe it's a mobile game.
Oh, right here. I just had to scroll down, Lou. Why you'll want a Coach NFT. Owners will be rewarded with a made-to-order Rogue bag in
Seen
2022.
that. How much does a custom Coach bag go for
I
these
don't
days?
know. I mean,
Gotta
Coach
be like
bags, even the non-custom.
for
I
yeah.
mean, these are
they're-
like the knockoff ones. I don't know what I'm on here. Let's go to
I mean,
somebody.
I would guess it's
I mean, in terms of
probably
your
$1,000 for
typical consumer, though, right? Like
custom.
these are still expensive purses. I would guess, like
hundreds
of dollars on purses. Like these are ugly. Like right? Look at those. But anyway,
be careful.
who am I to judge, right? Actually, my
Yeah.
girlfriend has like I feel like this exact thing here.
Yeah, that one looks like the generic one in like the little handbags.
Yeah. But this isn't just again another example of one of these massive entities coming in, rushing in, right? Like I don't know. I think we should move to, sort of a game of sorts that or, pure speculation from our side or the audience side about which brands are next. But, even 2 months ago, a month ago, was anybody really like expecting the quantity of brands that has been basically full-fledged dropping what appear to be decently well thought out projects? Like there's time and effort behind most of these projects. Pepsi, I don't know. But most of the other ones, even Bud, right? Like, I don't know. But the Nike thing, of course, Adidas thing, of course, tons of time and energy. My guess is that Coach, if there's a game, they've been thinking about this. They're not just dropping some generative randomness. Who's next, Lou? Like, who is like, firstly, actually, give me your dream company to join in. Like, if you got to pick a company to join Web3 and collect an NFT from, is there one? We may have already talked about this a little bit.
I feel like we kind of had with that. I don't really. It's tough because I think I'm not really connected directly to brands, but I think a big brand that would get people is something like a Patagonia. And you can get like hats and jackets and things like that. I think one that would be fun and people would get behind because they have fun like Super Bowl commercials would be Doritos. I think they would be a fun one.
Doritos would be fun. Mountain Dew / Doritos, like that. That makes too much sense. You know what I mean?
Those are good. Another good marketing brand is Wendy's.
we talked about
they've been
this
good
the other
on Twitter.
day. Yeah, they're great Twitter, like Steakums. Like this is one of those examples, right? Earlier in the show, we were talking about small companies that could be flexible and innovative and like capitalize on numeric value, whatever. They have nothing to lose, right? Steakums has nothing to lose. I can't imagine Steakums, like the little stupid freezer cheesesteak things, is doing super, super well. Maybe. I don't know. I shouldn't speculate, but
Omaha
they feel
Steaks.
like, yeah, exactly right. They all feel like brands that like, right, there's nothing to lose. They might as well try to capitalize on something and do something unique and innovative here. Whereas your bigger brands, in most instances, of course, Nike's been thinking and working, and I think typically, are ahead of the curve on most things fashion. So like it makes sense that Nike would do it. But think about your other like old guard brands. They're not, they're going to move too slow. And that's where you have the opportunity. Like if you're Steakums or Wendy's, Wendy's big, very big brand, right? But to take that,
I think I have my dream brand, but
wait, what
it's
is
kind
it?
of obvious. Google.
Oh, yeah.
Like a Google or an Amazon doing what Nike did would be just so massive.
Well, yeah, but that would be massive for our bags. But like, do you have an
Why do you
attachment to
think it would be
Google?
massive for our bags?
Well,
it would be
I think,
massive just for NFTs in general.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean.
I mean,
Yeah,
Facebook like didn't really move the needle, which was kind of funny. But I think
Facebook,
Google
did
would.
move the needle. Facebook moved like, well, I don't know. We'd have to take a look at the charts, like the coins and the charts for the Facebook Meta announcement and Metaverse coins. But do you remember like that 2-week stretch? Or it wasn't, I guess it wasn't quite 2 weeks or whatever, but there was that stretch of time either right before, during, or right after the Coinbase announcement that all of those Metaverse coins, and like tangentially related Metaverse coins like Gala and Sandbox and Decentraland, like they just went absolutely bonkers. Like you remember that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know the exact dates there and how the overlap happened, but like let me bring in this. So this is, what am I on here? This is the sand chart, Sandbox. This is over the 30 days, right? Like I have to imagine this is what, the 20th of November. Let's look up that Facebook Meta announcement. October 28th. Is that real? Is it really that long ago? Jesus.
Yeah, could be. I mean, that's 2 months.
Facebook changes its name to Meta. Okay,
Yeah,
so the
so
Meta,
in October.
yeah.
Jeez. I guess that's like
leading indicator.
Closer to like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So
wait, Facebook announced October 28th. So I mean, you're down in here. So definitely October 28th Facebook announcement. This is sand chart after that. Like,
yeah,
Facebook moved the needle. I don't want to do the causation thing, and of course not financial advice in any way. We can't
have that like quick up and then it flattened,
but then continuance up as well for variety of reasons. Of course, I should say, of course, nothing here financial advice. Do your own research. But yeah, I mean, I think Google would, in some way, do the same thing for a whole host of projects. I don't know exactly how it would transpire, but yeah, I think I mentioned when we first talked about this, I think I mentioned like Rolex. Did I say Rolex or something like that? I think, those brands, it's going to be interesting how one of those brands would potentially tackle NFTs, because you have an organization, and it's actually maybe like interesting for Coach as well. Maybe they're enough middle tier in terms of like the dollar price point, but like you have these very high value brands that are creating what feel like, or could be argued, super easily replicable digital items that there would be a little mismatch in terms of the
leveling the field,
perceived value. I mean, like, so Rolex, everything's like what, $30,000. Your NFT would somehow have to rival or showcase its otherwise excellence and on par with brand thing, right? So you'd almost have to price your NFT majorly high. And if it doesn't look good or the utility is like suspect, I don't know. It's like maybe that's enough for some of those brands to just basically never join.
Yeah. I think you have a point on like the more high-end brands, like but it's a way to like get different consumers, I guess. But that's a good point where, hey, maybe Rolex should never get into it because they're already too high end and elitist in a way. Have you been following, or are you seeing Doodles? They've been just posting like when collab and then just tagging different brands. Someone was making like Home Depot aprons for your doodle if you wanted. So they're pushing for it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they already have something in the works and they're just kind of teasing it right now.
I saw, the NFT attorney Jacob Martin. You probably would recognize anyway. But I saw him tweet earlier today something about a Doodles leak. Or sorry, maybe I'm sort of. Let me pull this on the screen.
Kind of like positive.
Yeah, like that's why the price is moving. Maybe he's just clearly speculating here.
Is he the one that bought? There was like a 15 ETH. Like, I'm looking at his profile picture right now. Is he the one that bought that one today? There was a coffee one that went for 15 ETH today.
Yeah, I actually met Jacob at the Ferocious painting event. Dude, the FIWO painting event was full of notable peeps, man.
Good connections.
I was the least important person at the FIWO painting event, but I still had a good time anyway. Doodles are the collection right now, Lou, that I own 0 of, that I probably like regret most owning 0 of.
It's the one that I've had the like strongest hands on, I'd say, where I didn't get in on the drop. I bought them in secondary, but I just felt like they have a lot of people buying them the high end ones.
Yeah, Nate Alex, a whole bunch of people, right?
Yeah, Carlini and friends, as we call them.
Yeah.
A bunch of people from that, like the Crypto Kitties, but that's because Poopy ETH is the guy that ran it. He's from formerly Dapper Labs, Crypto Kitties. So it's a lot of people that back that project who, not to say specific names or anything, but maybe they were like, oh, the reason I was so high on Crypto Kitties is because of Poopy, not because of people that are currently at Dapper. So, and we've seen it a lot where this is sort of a thesis I've been talking to people about, where there's so many derivatives that come out and Doodles are being combined with a lot of them. It's kind of like Toads, where they have their own style and people are trying to like come off of that style, kind of where Bored Apes, like all the apes come out. Now we're seeing like Doodle Punks and Doodle Kongs. There's all these like Doodle derivatives that pop up and people just want to be the Doodles. So to me, that just seemed like one that would stick around for a little bit. And obviously Rainbow Puke is now one of the best traits that are out there.
It's my favorite trait of any collection, doesn't matter, good, bad collection, whatever. Because like even some shitty, dusty projects have like kind of funny, cool traits. Rainbow Puke, I was talking earlier about traits that define projects, or traits that are so recognizable that when you see it, you immediately think, right? That's what marketers, that's what organizations want. They want to not control your mind, right? But like when you see something, they want you to associate them with that thing. Yeah. Right. And that's what, in my opinion, that's where like Pepsi having such an potentially unrecognizable drop is like, why, but
it even like the eyeball off to the side.
Yeah.
That's something that's like specific to them.
Right. No, like in terms of, so you mentioned Home Depot, like let's get the point of topic tonight is brands and Web3 inclusion here. Doodles collaboration, third-party brand, legitimately, like Home Depot doesn't really make sense to me, but legitimately, like who makes sense? Like who would you see tomorrow there's an announcement about Doodles pairing with a traditional brand? Who would you see and like be like, oh, that makes a ton of sense?
One that someone told me, which makes sense, but I don't think ever would happen, is Michael's, like, arts and crafts, something like that. Yeah,
Michaels.
I think it would be some sort of, like, colorful brand in
Yeah.
a way,
What about like a Sherwin-Williams or like a paint
like
store?
paint.
Like, I don't
Yeah,
know. Those
I
brands
wouldn't like
seem.
it if they did that, but I can see it. I
What
feel like it
about, I think like some candy company could definitely do doodles,
yeah,
like so it's Skittles owned by
Skittles
Mars. Is that Mars? Maybe not.
Skittles, that could be something.
Skittles, right? Because
Taste the
Rainbow
rainbow.
Puke, yeah. Skittles, Starburst, like, anything with that warmish, I love that. But like that type of color palette and that kind of, I don't know the right way to characterize it, but just like warm sort of
Pastels.
like, yeah, all of that stuff. It's just like a happy, it's like a happy collection. So I would think you'd want a
Um,
brand that sort of signifies that same thing.
I have I have one that I saw got brought up, at one point, and maybe not for doodles, but I could see them for doodles because of that one that we were looking at before with Starbucks. I could see Starbucks as being just in general a
Yeah.
company that wants to do something like being part of this.
And they are
So I could
very
see that.
tech forward, like
Yeah.
very
So
tech forward as so is Domino's, like Domino's Pizza, very tech forward, right? Like built their own delivery system app, no reliance on anything else. Sweet Green, right? That's like a smaller maybe example. I don't know if you know Sweet Green, but very, very forward thinking,
like
very, yeah.
Dunkin'
Um,
Donuts, Dunkin' Donuts, or like a Krispy Kreme, like something like that.
yeah,
Um,
man, I like, so let's, I want to go back kind of, and I'm, again, would welcome thoughts from the audience here about their overall take, because we spent a lot of time talking about the positives tonight. And there are, a lot. And I think, at least, and of course we're biased hosting the show and chatting in this way, that it is overwhelmingly positive that a lot of these brands are coming in. But there has been at least some voicing of concerns about centralization, right? About concerns about, just doing the same thing we've done in Web 2, where value is flown to 5 or 6 organizations and just letting those 5 or 6 organizations kind of do the same thing via Web 3, right? These vehicles in Web 3. So I think, those are reasonable potential concerns and like things that we should not just outwardly dismiss. But we should at least talk a little bit about, what are your concerns, Lou, if you have them? What are your, points of resistance here where you're kind of like a little like, maybe this should slow a little bit, or, do you have any of those thoughts?
just like the overall market in general.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Absolutely.
as it pertains to these organizations from Web 2 coming in, we have generally felt like it's a positive, but are there any things like, are there drawbacks? Are there things in the back of your mind that would be discouraged about if you continue to see the pace at which these organizations come in? Or are you kind of just like open arms, bring them on, baby?
Yeah, I think the discouraging thing more so is like I don't want to say people are running out of money, but getting spread too thin. And it's something we saw during this year where projects that just did the same thing that 5 projects did the 2 weeks before kind of fizzle off. So it's going to be like a first mover advantage in a way, I think, um, where now this like next wave of things that you want to buy into might be, oh, wait for a brand to come in versus just a random anon,
Yeah.
Russian dev team or Fiverr project. So I think that's where I would look towards, in just the general idea that these projects are going to have backing behind them and marketing resources, and they already have people connected to their brand, so it's more like legit in that way.
Yeah. I I wasn't thinking about it until you just sort of brought up, but the overwhelming attention that these brands will receive as a result of the money that they have and as a result of the acclaim that they already hold. And one of the, exciting parts about Web3 or about NFTs, at least over the course of this year, for the bulk of this year, was that you were organically building careers, right?
Yeah.
Like in a different time, in a different place, is Fewocious ever really discovered? Like I'd like to think based on the artwork and the talent, and the personality, yes. But is that something we should sort of be a little concerned about? Is that some of what we felt was opportunity for the little guy, the creator economy,
Yeah.
can vanish here if the same organizations that control the markets and control the minds, again, not literally mind control stuff, but right, like consume the minds and via marketing dollars, whatever, will be able to replicate the exact same thing in Web3. Like, is that a potential concern? And how do you ensure that it is more fair? Right? I don't know.
I think for me, it's more so like there's, and I had this tweet earlier in the week, and Danny brought it up on Monday, where I was talking about people being good versus lucky. And I think there's a lot of people this year, and there's a lot of influencers that are out there on Twitter, kind of what you're saying. Like, I don't think Fewocious is one of them. That was more like, I think he would have been found at some point. It would have been maybe more niche, like in the art community, where here it's more like broad, similar to like a Beeple, where Beeple is somewhat. Did you see Beeple was on Rogan the other day? Like,
I saw
Beeple's
that.
now
Yeah.
like the face of NFTs and art, which, I mean, that's look like someone kind of has to be, right?
Do you remember? Do you remember how much shit people got after the sale, the like $69 million sale, and he like dumped like all or half of it like immediately?
I mean, if we look back on this year, which I think in general is like a cool idea, like year end, like awards kind of idea. Um, I think two of the most important moments in NFTs this year was the Bales article for Top Shot and that Beeple sale for $69 million.
Yeah.
If that sells for 20 million, I don't know what like the specific number would have to be for it, but that sale made so many people bullish on it in general space, and got people so excited for it. If you want to talk about like the NFT side of it in general, that was one of the most important moments, I think, all year.
Yeah. And I actually, believe it or not, I believe both those things are dwarfed in this last week by the Nike thing. Right? Like,
Well, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
But
I
that's
would guess that Nike put more than that into Artifact. They would
yeah.
have had to, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've heard I should say I've seen speculation on Twitter about the size of the deal. Upwards in the upper, is it upper nine figures, is hundreds of millions, right? Yeah. Like upper hundreds of millions. But actually, like I was watching Club Top Shot earlier this week. CEO Peter Jennings is a regular contributor to Club Top Shot. We're friends with that stream. I was watching earlier this week, and Andy Chorlian of Fractional actually brought up like a really interesting point that he thinks Artifact left money on the table by selling to Nike, which is a super interesting thought. And like something that, if you're them, and Andy brought up all these points too, like if you're Artifact and Nike reaches out to acquire you, you're probably just like, you can't even necessarily think about the second order effects of, and the financial ramifications about if you just did this versus that or whatever. Cause you're just like, okay, like Nike, sure. Like, let's freaking build something awesome. But, yeah, I mean, if you stay as your 3-5 person team and you continue to grind on the things that you do, and like, you're reaping all of the reward without ceding any fees or whatever to Nike, and just interesting. I mean, they did
Right.
the
You don't
100
know
million
the
drop on their
specifics
own.
of the
Right.
deal.
That's
Right.
true.
That's where I'm thinking, if my thought is they brought in 100 billion just on the initial sale. That's not even counting the 20,000 Ethereum or whatever now that they have on secondary. But my thought is I would expect it to be like no less than a quarter bill, but I would guess it's closer to like $500 million
Yeah.
plus.
I mean, regardless, it's of course astronomical.
Yeah, I'm sure
proportions.
it's and not even that large of a percent of Nike.
Oh yeah, Nike's at 200. We looked it up earlier this week. $256 billion company,
Yeah.
and now positioning itself to capitalize. Like, let's say the metaverse stuff plays out as a lot of very smart people and very big brands now, Facebook and beyond, right? Let's say it plays out. The thesis plays out that these people are expecting. Nike just positioned itself to be many times more than $256 billion worth of a company. That's for sure. So
It's another like stream of revenue for them.
Oh, and recurring revenue, right? Like right now they sell I shouldn't get into the Nike stuff because I don't know. Like, I don't really know. I'm sure they have subscription stuff with like fitness apps and whatever, right? But right now you think about Nike, they drop a pair of shoes, you buy a pair of shoes, you wear that pair of shoes for half a year, and then you buy another pair of shoes, or whatever the case may be. Now they're gonna get freaking secondary royalties on every single sale. They're cut into. Let me pull it up on the rankings page, but luckytrader.com. But they're cut into where my rankings page. This is just the last day. And this is just Clone X and not the Mint Vial. Oh yeah, right here, Mint Vial too. Over 2,000 ETH traded. 2,200 Ethereum traded in secondary volume over the course of the last day. They take 2.5%, whatever, right? Like something like that, right? Of that goes straight to them. That's obnoxious. And they're doing that daily. It's obnoxious. Absolutely obnoxious.
People were flooding the idea that it was 10% on the vials. But I mean, they've done so much with the vials as well. And I'd like to think there's a lot of stuff on the back end, like things like Nike's the reason why they had the 10% on the vials. And there's a lot of stuff in the that we don't know on the business side of it. But I don't know. Like, I think it's cool that they did it, and would like to assume that they'll stick with it, just like with Artifact in general. So it makes me a lot happier. Just in general, the Clone X project, because a lot of people were saying this is going to be the next one. It's just going to crash and that. And I think this gives a little more legitimacy that Metaverse never really got.
Yeah, we talked about that in the beginning of the show. A couple comments that have come in here. Mikhail asking about flipping NFTs and sharing our strategy. I should just know, unfortunately, this stream is not designated to do that, but please do stay tuned to our Friday streams, where we're going to be opening up topics to be able to do more things like that. Flip NFTs on stream, play games on stream. Tomorrow, Lou and John Nanetti of Lucky Trader will be doing a Crypto Raiders stream where they're going to be walking through gameplay, discussing strategy, and all the things that you would need to know or want to know if you were looking to pick up and play Crypto Raiders, which is a very successful, at least thus far, I think we can characterize it as very, or at least quite successful play to earn game on Polygon. We just dropped a piece earlier today at luckytrader.com, how to get started with Crypto Raiders. Of course, this is kind of the precursor to the stream that takes place tomorrow. So unfortunately, Mikhail, not the topic of tonight's stream, but please do come back. And I promise we will have more things of that. Like Jay Goofy, though, asked a question about thoughts on the last minute Adidas drop. So we talked about this at length in the beginning of the stream, but we can kind of reiterate here as we look to close out. I think both Lou and I were supportive of overall this drop. And Lou, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I am one of the lucky, participants that would have held either Pixel Vault, Mutant Apes, Bored Ape, right? There are four and five different assets that will grant you kind of pre-access to these 20,000 that are pre-access for folks. I am part of that group that will be able to mint. I will be looking to mint tomorrow. So I will be planning to participate. Lou echoed as well. There are, though, Jay Goofy. I'm not sure if you are a holder of. Let me pull back up that screen just so.
Well, one thing I would say on it is I don't expect it to be one that's like a good flip.
Yeah, well, me neither. The collection's just so large.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't expect this to have like a 1 ETH floor.
Right. It can't
I mean,
move
it
up that
could.
quick.
It,
Nah, just like
it
it can't.
I mean,
it
the
can.
number of people
Right.
that don't get in is the real determinant. Like how many people don't get in.
Supply
Because
demand,
I don't
baby.
think. Are you only going to be able to have access to one?
I don't know exactly how it works. So I have multiple. Does it say here? So we're just pulling this up again. This is the Adidas Into the Metaverse site. Here's your pre-release prerequisites. So you would need to hold. Let me scroll back up here. I'm on the wrong thing. Need to hold Adidas Originals POAP, G Money POAP, Board API Club, Mutant API Club, any Pixel Vault NFT. Snapshots were previously already taken. So unfortunately, you can't go and add and then be added to the be added to the list tomorrow for pre-sale. You'd already have been into it. But it does not say, Lou, whether or not you will be able to do one per, right? So like, for example, I hold multiple planets and I have exposure to a mutant. That I don't know if that means I can have 3 or I can only have 1. It doesn't seem super clear here.
Yeah, I think it's just the 1. But
let me see these.
I think, to me, the reason that a floor could go up is if they are only allowing 1 per person. It's when a lot of people buy into it and want to redeem it for the physical side. That's when I think it's more likely that there'll be less listings, because that's really what lifts floors a lot of times, is just less percent listings. And that's one of the big indicators for me when I'm looking at NFTs, kind of going back on Mikhail's comment. I look when there's more holders per NFT. That's a big one for me. And then if people want to hold it until a certain event, and for this, that certain event is going to be the redeeming for physical. So to me, I could see it rise for that reasoning. But the other thing is there's a lot of people that are in the space that are just in it for the flipping side. So there are going to be people that take it at 0.2, and if they see it hit 0.3, they're going to start listing, or they're just going to list it right away.
Yeah, I wanted to point out for the point you just made there, and for Mikhail, that unique owner count, which you're chatting about, right? And the count versus overall supply. You can access that all at luckytrader.com. So you have unique owners on the project rankings page that indicates the count of owners. So, CloneX, there's 17,000 or so minted right now, 6,500 unique owners. If you flip that to percent, it's actually going to give you an indication of the percentage. Oh, that did not work the way I wanted it to, did it?
Yeah, I think it did. But
it doesn't.
It didn't show you in the percent.
Okay. Anyway, it's gonna give you. It stayed on unique owners. That might be a bug we have to fix. Stayed on the count and not the percentage. Anyway, as you flip there, you can see also too in this far right hand corner. See, it's updating for the buy now, but not for the count here. I'm not sure why. You see here indicated how many are listed for sale, right, of the entire collection. So like Crypto Strikers, nearly 40% of the collection is listed for sale. When there is a lower percent of collection available, that means the price can move up faster, and there's that 10% of the floor, which I've pointed to and talked to before about, a smaller percentage near the floor, again, just means that floor can move upwards faster as well. So
that wall,
smaller barrier. So lots of stuff. Of course, you can access all the tools, resources at luckytrader.com, totally free at your disposal. Take advantage. Let us know if you have feedback, if you catch small little bugs like that. We are in beta, don't make fun of beta people or Top Shot or anything, because it hurts our feelings at this point. But, please share that feedback. We're happy to take it and try to make sure that everything is working appropriately on site. Lou, any other thoughts though? This was a good one. I'm glad, we spent a lot of time talking about a lot of big brands, because there are so many that we can talk about at this point. We'll be able to like probably have this conversation again, maybe in a freaking week. Like, who knows? A lot of this news was the last week, right?
Yeah, there's basically 5 big brands that did something in the space, some sort of connection. We didn't really talk about the L'Oreal Paris.
Oh my gosh.
One.
We skipped over L'Oreal, and you know what came out near the end of the day was the Mattel Gary V thing, which that was the end. That's tomorrow. So talk about kind of surprise drops. He was just mentioning, Jay Goofy was mentioning the drop about Adidas, but tomorrow also there's a drop for 12 p.m. Eastern, so noon Eastern time. Mattel Creations and VeeFriends, Gary V collaboration, December 17th. It's $25 US plus shipping. So we have some sort of expectation that this is a physical. Mattel, of course, is maybe most known for Barbie, right? Yeah. Barbie, Hot Wheels, Motu, I don't know what that is. Matchbox, Monster High, don't know what that is either. Those must be like younger brands that I don't recognize. So this is a pretty big deal. Uno, is that, Mattel? This is a pretty big deal. And this is just came up today and is happening tomorrow. And $25, very accessible price point. Will you be participating with this?
Probably not. I don't know. I'd have to see like what it really is.
It's only $25, Lou. You gotta bet on Gary V,
Hot
man.
Wheel?
Well, no, I mean it's a Gary
Aren't
V
those
thing.
like $1 each?
Yeah.
Like I say, it depends on what you're getting.
Yeah.
It's
been vague. It's been very vague. So.
And I don't like that. I don't like if you're gonna be vague with me, then I don't want to do all this extra effort for something that, I don't know. This could be a topic for a different conversation, and I know what Danny's take would be, but
yeah,
I feel
bet
like
on Gary
V is attaching himself to too many things at this point, and it's almost like a thing that I've jokingly said to people in Discords recently is influencers don't matter, but I think people overestimate when an influencer is connected to something. And it seems like Gary V is part of that Wag Me United purchase.
Yeah,
too.
He's an advisor as well.
I feel like he's touching too many different things right now. I think we
should say this about Gary V. He's always done this, though.
Well, yeah.
So it's like this is not foreign to him. I don't think he is at this point in time, like unbeknownst to him, generating or stretching himself too thin with too many things. But I think you're totally right. Like, as far as his impact on NFT projects, his fingerprints are everywhere. So you can't at this point in time, maybe earlier this year, but you can't at this point in time just see Gary V, see some sort of Gary V connection and buy it. That doesn't mean it goes up. Not anymore.
You have to be a VeeFriend holder. Do they get like first access to this?
It does not say anything about that. It is like some connection. There's a connection with VeeFriends, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way. I think Tony from Lucky Trader was speculating that this is maybe like a VeeFriends doll iteration. So like you get the Gift Goat doll, or like whatever they are. Clear speculation, of course. It's unfortunate that Gary didn't give us more details, but maybe it's because if it is a stupid little doll, I shouldn't say stupid little, but in my opinion, stupid little doll. If it is, like, he would have just gotten so much FUD right out of the gate that he's got to like hold on to, a little bit of mystery here and intrigue.
I'm still waiting to see what we get from these books.
The books.
So, I mean, that's the side of me. Like, if you're investing in things that he's investing in, is he spending enough time on the things that are like specific to him?
I just pulled up the email on my phone. The last email communication we got regarding the books. Like, we're supposed to know something. To account for book delivery delays, we're planning for the token drop to happen in the last week of December or first week of January. Well, we're at December 16th. So the last week of December is not next week, but the week after. So we're at like, he's got like 10 days or like 11, 12 days to like make some sort of form. Well, I guess it could have been first week of January, but still, there's been no communication about it either. So
Yeah, except, I mean,
oh,
that's another
while we're
100,000
fudding,
supply thing.
while we're fighting Gary V here,
okay.
while we're fighting Gary V here, I need to absolutely bash the selection of Minneapolis for VCon 2022. I am at present time coming live to you from Minneapolis. This is probably like the 5th or 6th different city I've done the Lucky Trader Lounge from at this point in time. I'm bringing the Lucky Trader Lounge across the globe, but Minneapolis is miserable. It's absolutely miserable.
It's also December.
Well, it is December. It's December, but I am right down the street from US Bank Stadium where where VCon is taking place. I'm like 5-minute walk from US Bank. US Bank is beautiful. Minneapolis, in large part, all the buildings, the residential buildings that surround here are very, very nice modern buildings. There's nothing. It's shitty. Like I can't find restaurants. It's why the hell is the convention here? This is so bad.
It's gonna be cheaper than in New York for sure. So I mean, cost effectiveness.
It's a good thing we fudded Gary so late in the show because 1, we've lost viewers, and 2, when Danny comes to watch this, if Danny comes to watch this, he like probably will tune out before this part.
Yeah, hopefully
we'll maybe remain, we'll maintain some level of professionalism in the workplace and no awkward conversations with Danny regarding our Gary V FUD. But that's coming tomorrow. Coach drop starts tomorrow. Adidas drop starts tomorrow. Expectations on Nike and Pepsi and Bud and continuation. We listed a whole host of other brands that we would expect in some way, or at least would look forward to in some way, providing some connection to Web3 and brands. Any final thoughts, Lou, before we kind of sign off and give people back some time tonight?
No, I think brands are generally good as part as like getting just mainstream. It seems like everything's mainstream at this point, like NFTs, word of the year, and person of the year, Elon Musk keeps tweeting about them. So, I mean, it's out there. People know. People have talked to me in IRL about them. So, to me, it's like we're here, they're here, and brands are starting to recognize that. And I think we'll be seeing it a lot more coming up, especially Q1. But to me, it's like pick the ones that make sense to you. Like for you, like the Pepsi one didn't make sense as much, so you just stay off it. There's going to be so many brands that come out and do something that you can't do them all. You can't be a part of them all. So
same goes for just NFTs in general.
Yeah, kind of going off of what Goofy was saying. Like, I think the Nike one with Artifact makes sense because they've already been a brand that does sneakers in the metaverse and art, and they've done stuff. So Nike made sense with them. I think they're a brand that's going to be here to stay versus some of these other random projects that have been popping up recently. So yeah, to me, I think generally speaking, these brands coming in are good for the space.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I'm curious to get any and all feedback from viewers or community members about why they may feel otherwise. But as of right now, I think we're going to sign off here tonight. I do want to please promote Lou and John tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
Crypto Raiders stream. If you're looking to try and learn play to earn, or just even get involved with play to earn, Crypto Raiders at present time 0.05 floor. It has a working game, cheap entry point, working game, not one of these examples where hey, pay and then the game may come, right? Like there is a game right now that you can actively play, and by all accounts, it is a pretty fun and like working fine without kinks game. So cheap entry points. There are a couple, things you definitely need to learn, bridging to Polygon. Lou, John, they'll go over all of that stuff tomorrow on the stream at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Please do show up, watch them, and then give us feedback on the format as well. We're going to be using Fridays. Mikhail had asked earlier about flipping NFTs. We're going to be using Fridays to maybe be a little less formal, though these aren't that formal, a little less formal, and perhaps more zoomed in on specific topics and specific experiences that you can create and interact with within Web3. But for us here at Lucky Trader and the Lucky Trader Lounge, we're going to sign off. We'll catch you guys again tomorrow.